Yes, you are coming in loud and clear.
All right, and so are you. So I'm talking with the author of Straight Dope, a 360-degree look into American drug culture. Welcome to the Cool People Podcast. I can't wait to talk to you about the drug war and drugs in America. How are you doing today, man?
I am doing really, really good, man. I'm really honored to be a part of to be a part of the podcast, and I definitely can't wait to kind of delve into everything. So let's get rocking and rolling.
Well, my first question is about logistics because you
Sure.
talk to people who took drugs. You talk to people who used to take drugs. You talk to people who dealt with weed legally. How did you line up all these people to talk to?
Man, it was so funny because obviously, getting people to open up about something like that, that's gonna be rather tough. So, truthfully, one of the best resources for me was to just go to Craigslist.
Hmm.
And every couple of days, I would just put an ad out stating, "Hey, I'm writing a book about drugs, and I would love to hear your side." First I started offering money for it. So obviously, people came in by the droves, but that started to get pretty expensive. So it went from 20 to 10 to 5 to basically breakfast. Then it just got reduced to just then it just got reduced just to like Starbucks. So but it was so funny, man. It was really the toughest thing wasn't necessarily tracking people down, but it was just earning people's trust. And letting people know, listen, I'm not a federal agent, cop, whatever. I'm not a narc. I just want to listen to you. And on top of that, I'm not trying to judge you. So, and once I was able to get people relaxed, everyone, it just kind of started flowing, man, like a river, and it was good.
Well, you look really young. That must have helped.
Uh, yes and no, man. Like a lot of people really didn't take me seriously because a lot of people were like, "Boy, you probably weren't even around." It's like it was one of those things where it's like I had to get my whole what's the guy's name, Mickey Spillane on, and just like, "Arr." But again, it's just really all about setting a very comfortable environment. I always thought that I was kind of an easy cat to talk to. So and I just love listening, man. So Robert, it just kind of took off from there.
What I don't understand, you got to help me understand,
Sure,
okay?
sure.
Is federally, President Obama is has actually ramped up the campaign against marijuana, but
Right,
it's statewide. For in California, for instance, if you have a card that says, I can't sleep, I suffer from stress,
right.
I had
AIDS,
negative thoughts,
cancer,
whatever.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the card is not hard to get. Um,
No,
it's legal.
no, no, it's not.
So
You know what, man? It, in my opinion, Robert, I do think that most people do abuse it. I think that there are some people who legitimately need it, but for the most part, man, it's kind of become this sort of cash cow, for doctors. It's just for me. Like um, it's called a recommendation. So the doctors, they are recommending that 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 you can use cannabis to cure some kind of ail. So then you go to the dispensary, and here's a kicker: instead of buying it, um, you make some you you make some you you make some kind of donation. So that's how they get around the loophole. So
oh, okay, because the dispensaries aren't supposed to make a profit. Is that what you're talking about?
that is correct.
Okay. Yeah, when they're bringing in millions of dollars, it's hard to imagine how they could not make a profit. So
Yeah,
the law itself is kind of screwy.
yeah, man. I mean, again, I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of things that are sort of hidden. I mean, that's why it's all in a verbiage, such as recommendation. Because remember, no doctor within the United States can actually prescribe that. So that's why they give you the card stating that we recommend you to be able to take cannabis from a medicinal purpose.
But I guess
So
it's the federal statute that makes it a Schedule 2, right?
right, yeah. Well, right now, it's crazy because it's the state versus the federal law. For example, right now, within the Bay Area, there's places that actually teach you how to cultivate marijuana.
Right.
But the federal agencies, they are trying to shut those places down. But some of those places are saying, wait, hold up, we are on, um, I guess for lack of a better term, this the state of California's they uh, they they say that we can operate.
Right.
So I mean it's everyone right now is is at some kind of standstill. So
So
that's a
when
little crazy.
when you when somebody reads Straight Dope, a 360-degree look into American drug culture,
Right.
do you think they put it down going, this is a pro-drug book or a anti-drug book?
Well, the way that I wrote Straight Dope was that I wanted people to make their own decision. I'm not advocating drug use. I'm not saying that drugs should be illegal. What I am what I am stating, and I'm just merely posing a question: why are drugs so inundated within the United States? I mean, I go so far. I don't put my personal view in it because I don't want it to be slanted. I don't want it to have any type of slanted view. Personally, me, I don't use drugs, and I just don't. I mean, for me, they don't have any place within within my life. But at the same time, I'm only one person.
Right.
So that's why I just want people to just be able to just make up their own mind.
I really feel you on that because I am the author of Self Help for Stoners. And what's really funny.
Wait, really, really?
Absolutely. Here. Self Help for
Nice.
Stoners.
So,
So, and what I get, and the reason I bring that up, aside from narcissistic promotion, is is that I have had people say, like, I remember getting this review going, well, it advocates drug use, so I'm not cool with it, and then I had somebody else say, wow, it's really anti-drug
really?
because Self Help for Stoners has a bunch of stuff in there about you know it can be cool, but get up off your ass. So,
Right.
so, and that's why I think we probably got it right. Because if you're leaving people to decide for themselves, then you've come at it pretty even-handedly. If I have somebody saying you're anti-drug and somebody else saying you're pro-drug, then I probably got it right. Is my thinking.
That yeah. That's a pretty awesome thing. I mean, like for me, Robert, like I think that with books like you and ours, it's like we have to let the reader decide which side of the fence they lie on. I mean, there are so many books that are anti or pro, and it really doesn't allow the reader to sort of form maybe some other type of opinion.
Yeah, I think that a lot of them end up preaching to the choir,
Exactly.
and there's a lot of really it's misinformation that goes out, and I heard somebody the other day say that they thought that legalization of marijuana was in the States was only 5 years away. And I thought,
I could
I,
agree with that.
I think it's going to be much longer than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
When
no,
when
man.
you have the commander in chief, the president of the United States, has
Sure.
making jokes about how he said when he was in college, BuzzFeed was something you did at 2 or 3 a.m. It was
Right.
he's joked about taking marijuana. Bill Clinton said that he didn't inhale, which nobody believed.
Which is
Uh,
some bullshit. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And then after he was out of office, he said we should really legalize that. And it's like, wow, if only you'd been in a position to do something about
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that. So um, I think like the fight
Well,
for gay marriage is pretty much. I know that there's a lot of states to go, but the fight for gay marriage is definitely the gay lobby has won, and it's
yeah.
just states have to catch up with that. I think the same thing
That
is
is
going to,
definitely winnable.
yeah,
That is definitely winnable.
and I think the fight for legalization of marijuana is it is going to be won, but I think it's going to take longer because there's still this. It seems like I watch United States politics with fascination. You guys are
Sure.
fascinating. It
Really, why?
Oh my
Why?
God! Well,
But
because it's so polarized. It's like watching sports. And when
Lakers
I
Celtics. Well, yeah,
yeah,
like a Lakers Celtics, man. Lakers Celtics for
but
real.
the opposing sides hate each other more. So
Possibly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're right about that.
so
This is true, man.
when I watch this debate over legalization, I think it's going to be like Don't Ask, Don't Tell, where they're going to fight it and fight it and fight it, and then when it finally comes in, they're going to say, well, what was the big deal? Because
Right.
my favorite thing on Facebook in the last couple of weeks, I saw something where somebody said, if you drink or smoke cigarettes, you have nothing to say about marijuana.
100%. Hold on now. Now, I do agree that marijuana should be legal. However, this is just my opinion, just off my experiences. Plus, on top of that, seeing people, knowing people, and actually writing straight though, I do believe that marijuana is a gateway drug. You
Ah,
know,
okay.
however, I think that comparing it to cigarettes, comparing it to alcohol, it's pretty tame. I mean, no one has ever died from no one has ever died from marijuana.
Yeah, that's Joe Rogan's line:
Yeah,
"Is it's
yeah,
dangerous? Where are the bodies? Show me the bodies."
exactly. Like like I mean, like people have died from alcohol abuse. No one has ever went crazy batshit. Um, uh, you know, over smoking over smoking a joint. People have people have done like violent attacks just off of drinking alcohol. So it's almost like
Frequently.
you know why are we not legalizing this?
Yeah, if you look at the history of it, I think it was a success of the alcohol and the cigarette lobbies. It was a political win. It wasn't,
I can agree with that.
and a lot of it was racist. If you look
Really?
at the yeah, if you look at the history of the legislation, when they called it what was the deal? There was I remember there was something about how um, alcohol was okay, cigarettes were okay, but that marijuana is for black jazz musicians to bed white women with.
Wow, this is something that I'm going to have to look up.
Yeah,
Yo, Robert, that that sounds so crazy to be true, man. I mean, dude, I totally believe that.
oh yeah, no, it's
Totally believe
solid. It's solid. But um, this is the thing. It's not. It's interesting to me how and this is why U.S. politics is so fascinating, is you'll say, okay, well, how about gun control? And they say, well, prohibition won't work. We've proved that with alcohol. Prohibition won't work. They say, well, then why are you trying to prohibit? Why are you trying prohibition with weed then? And
Right.
and this is the thing. My position is, I don't think it's for everybody.
Well, yeah,
I
I can agree with that.
I don't advocate it for everybody. I think but I don't think anything is for everybody. I mean, there are people who are allergic to water, right? So,
Right.
um, I guess what gets me about it is how governments can be so behind the times, because most people are for it, and I don't know what the statistics are. As I know, there's a majority that's for legalization of marijuana, but beyond that, whether it's like 51% or 60% or something,
Right.
if you talk to people about, okay, if somebody has cancer, if somebody has AIDS,
Right.
and marijuana will help them um,
Eat.
eat, yeah, so they get the
Yeah.
munchies.
Right.
Although that's a little bit controversial, because been some studies that have shown that it doesn't. That's kind of a stereotype. But maybe that contradicts, real life experience. I don't know, but I know that it's been helpful for people with glaucoma, AIDS, cancer, where
Right.
it can reduce blood pressure, reduce stress, all this kind of stuff. It
Right.
is definitely medicinal. Um,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
so I think the thing is, with the drug war, it's been a little bit too broad, because we say, don't do drugs.
Right. Right.
And my suggestion is, you're already doing drugs. You're doing caffeine, you're doing fat, you're doing salt, you're doing sugar.
Yeah.
Don't do
Ask
the don't do the wrong drugs.
and like Robert, that's a really good point. For me, one of the biggest mistakes within the war on drugs was how they just put this blanket statement of just saying, just say no to drugs. I mean, it's like we did not properly explain all drugs. I mean, there are different levels of severity when it comes to drugs. Not all drugs are the same. So when we just put this blanket statement, we didn't we didn't properly explain what drug A, B, C, and D do. And on top of that, we didn't explain why people need to stay away from from drugs. Going back to the marijuana issue, you know, the pharmaceutical companies are are very powerful as far as lobbying, to say don't legalize don't legalize marijuana. Because they would rather have you take Vicodin than simply have you take a hit from the bong. Me personally, if someone had cancer, AIDS, some type of injury, I would rather have them smoking a doob than simply have them popping a pill.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, besides the fact that it's natural, there's going to be no side effects, you know?
Well, with the interviews that you did, was the focus more on marijuana, or was it across the board, like crack and cocaine as well?
Oh, man, like, well, I mean, well, considering that 95% of all the interviews were for people from San Diego, Robert, the majority of the people that I spoke with had issues with crystal meth.
Hmm.
Within San Diego, there's certain parts, there's certain suburbs, such as Lakeside, Santee, places like that. I believe like that they refer to that as I think it's East County, and and East County has a horrendous meth epidemic there. So majority of the people, man, were were either on meth, or they were on heroin. So
No one.
that's
Those are really scary drugs. No wonder people are showing up so you can feed them breakfast.
man. Oh, yo, Robert, I have a crazy story for you. But unfortunately, I'll have to share that totally off air. So
Oh, okay.
crazy stuff, dude.
You're,
Crazy.
is it in the book?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the interviews, man. I spoke to this lady who was who actually sold crystal meth, and I mean who just kind of detailed everything about it, and it was so sad how the collateral damage that occurred. There was there was there was one point where she brought up something about her family, and I had to shut the tape recorder off, and I said, it was this really awkward silence, and I said, I can't put this in the book because this is something that, I mean, I'm telling you, man, it was something like Jesus Christ, like, so crystal meth really fucks families up.
Mm-hmm.
Totally excuse my language. But.
No, it's there are incredibly dangerous drugs out there. There's no doubt about that. I just don't think we should treat them all the same. Like, and
I agree with that.
Meth, just you can see it in there are on anybody can look it up on the internet. If you look at before and after pictures,
it's crazy, right?
Yeah, the things that happens to people's skin, their faces, you can see them dying in front of you. So let's get. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh my God, bro! Like the meth mouth.
Mm.
You dig? I mean, it just rots teeth out. It's so crazy. It's like, okay, stick to weed.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
It's true. Teeth like caramel corn. So, what we should do, because our time is tight, I know you got to run in about 20. So,
sure.
When you looked at why, let's get to why do people do what they do? I mean, if you're poor, you do a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
And you get caught. If you're rich, you do drugs, but you don't get caught so much.
Well, I think that one of the ladies that I interviewed, Miriam, she's a drug counselor, and she actually addressed that towards the end of her interview. She said that it's all about the support system. If you're poor, doing drugs, you get caught. You're not going to have any kind of money to hire somewhat of a decent lawyer. B, you're not going to have the support of a family versus someone who comes from a really good family. For example, there was a young lady within my book. I believe her name was Stephanie, and I mean she came from a really well regarded family, and she didn't do any kind of prison time, but yet she was busted with weed, coke, heroin, all that. So, unfortunately, it all boils down to the support system, to the family, to just really money, man. I mean, dude, like rich kids who do 8 balls and who are busted by the police rarely do prison time, dude.
And this is what I don't understand is how that can happen. When to take a example that actually is a bit too easy, because like Lindsay Lohan has a lot of problems and not enough friends who are saying stop. But but when you look at the
no one's looking out for her. No one's looking out for it at all.
But when you look at that particular celebrity, how many chances she has had, and she
right?
And she gets community service and community service and community service. And if it were you, a young black man, you would be in jail.
I would be doing. Oh my God, yo! You know what? She has had so many chances. She needs to play the lottery. She needs to go to Vegas. I mean, I'm serious, man. I mean, it's like let's compound. I mean, all right, look. Let's look at her for a second. She's an attractive white girl, right? She's
rich.
She's rich. She is famous.
She's blowing it fast.
She's I mean. It's kind of like what you just said. She has no one really looking out for her, right? And it's like she's constantly fucking up. And it's like you have to look at it like, from someone who is living in Canada, y'all have got to be thinking like, damn, like this chick, she just keeps on getting off. You know what I'm saying? I'm I mean, it's like hell. Like she there has to be some type of government agent, or or it's like. Or it's like hell, like she's got to be doing she's got to be doing something like strange for some change, something. I mean, me personally, I don't get it, but I'm surprised she's not doing at least five. I mean, 1 year.
Th-
You know what I'm
this
saying?
is brilliant. This makes sense. She must be turning in all the dealers.
That's what I'm saying. She so, what, fam? Look, look. I'm dipping
Breaking
in.
news! Breaking news on the Cool People podcast.
You know what? I'm telling you, Robert. There has to be some type of explanation because it's like after two or three times we can throw away being pretty and white. You
Hmm.
know, it's got to be something else. It's like, all right, look, what are you really doing though? You know, you know what I mean? Lindsay Lohan, she could be a Fed, so I don't know, man. I don't know, B. I don't get it. I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying?
That makes so much sense.
Sorry, yo. Listen,
I don't normally go with conspiracy theories, but I don't know what other explanation. Because the thing
I,
is, if you're in law enforcement, you have to look at that and go, we're doing a smart thing by using Lindsay Lohan to get all these dealers who are lining up to dealer drugs.
right.
And this is the secret deal. Otherwise, we're a bunch of racist hypocrites. So, which would you choose?
Look, man, like, it's just like this new girl, right? What's her name? Bynes.
Amanda Bynes?
Yeah. You know, she's gonna be like the new Lindsay Lohan. She is just cutting up, getting into all kinds of shit, and it's like sooner or later she's gonna either have to do some time, or it's like I mean I can't think of any other reason, man. I don't get it. I mean, like I don't understand.
Mm. Well,
Who?
let's get back to your book because I think that's brilliant, but I don't want to leave you without plugging your book enough and
Right.
understanding more about what it's about.
Sure.
So, uh, in your background, you committed some petty crime until
Okay.
1999. I saw in your bio,
Yes.
and you went to college in San Diego,
Yes.
and you're writing screenplays and poetry. You're a writer, and you're in California, so obviously you're writing screenplays. I mean, you
Of, of, of course. Come on now. I'm always trying to make it big, man. Like Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? Come on, for real. I'm totally trying to get paid.
So
You know.
when you basically what you're doing with this book though with Straight Dope is citizen journalism.
Yeah.
But what are the takeaways? What's the thing that stuck with you most from those interviews?
Oh, man. I guess it's so funny, Robert. That you asked that question, and that's such a great question. Last year, I kind of came to the conclusion after traveling, meeting different people, writing the book. I came to the realization that there really is no black and white, and that everybody's story is different. I consider myself to be sort of a definitive cat. One thing that I hate, I hate fence riders. You know, either you're on this side or you're on the other side. And it was just that talking to these people, listening to their story, and finding out how they got to this point, or or finding out why they believe why they believe the way that they believe. It's just that, man. There's no such thing as a blanket statement, and I mean it's like everyone's story is different, and I mean, man, like I have totally taken the word assumption out of my vocabulary, man, because it's like, dude, everybody's situation is different, man. I mean, it's like there is no black and white. I mean, the world is truly gray areas. So
Well,
that's
some people take drugs the same way. The same reason some people drink is for they're self medicating. Like they've got back
right.
pain and they're drinking more than they ought to. But I think my assumption, I guess, is rich people take. Uh, have you heard about Rob Ford, Toronto mayor in Canada?
No, 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 no.
He's a big fat white guy.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Him, yeah,
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 caught on
yeah.
video smoking crack
Looking at
allegedly.
smoking crack. Yeah, damn. What?
Allegedly, it's true. They haven't nailed him down on it, but they say that there's multiple people who are saying that they've got the mayor of Toronto uh, on video allegedly doing crack. There's
So all right,
a few things about that. One is,
all right.
sorry,
All
go
right.
ahead.
Hold on now. That's kind of like Marionberry, right?
Yeah,
The mayor of DC. I mean, Toronto is a true international city, right? So
it
it's
is
kind of
now.
like, yeah, right. I mean, it's like so many people that I've spoken with, met who are from Toronto, who have been to Toronto, have said nothing but great things about it. I mean, how is Canada taking that, man? I mean, I'm just curious.
I think that there's a lot of it's kind of shock and surprise because the thing is, crack isn't a drug for older fat white guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And for him to be in that position where allegedly the thing is somebody has it on video on like a cell phone or something, and he says they say on the video that better not be on, or that cell phone video might better not be on. Um, but when I think of rich people doing drugs, I think of
Pills, right?
pills, and I think of cocaine, and I think it's people celebrating. Now maybe they're
Right.
they're celebrating for the wrong reasons, or maybe they're trying to get a hooker back up to their room because you don't do that
Cocaine and
with.
champagne.
Sorry.
Oh no. It's like cocaine plus champagne.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the
Jesus, man.
stereotype. But
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of truth in that stereotype. But when I think of poor people, they go for marijuana is accessible, crack is cheap, and they do drugs because they're trying to get away from their problems.
Right.
And rich people don't have any problems, but they're trying to find some. But
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel that.
so
I,
when you talk to the people that you talk to for your book,
right.
what were the reasons that people gave you? Like I know they didn't give you all the same reasons, but what were the
Sure.
kind of things they said? This is why I do drugs.
All right. Well, and this is kind of going back to why I say marijuana. In my opinion, marijuana is a gateway drug because every one of those folks that I spoke with, who got hooked on crack, coke, heroin, meth, they all started with marijuana. Most of them, man. I mean, this is another thing, man. The family unit was very dysfunctional. You know, father wasn't there. Father was too busy. Maybe you had an older brother or sister. Um, it- um, they um, they they kind of introduced them to to drugs. A friend kind of brought it around. So I mean, that was that. Gosh, man. I mean, there were so many things, man. I mean, I would, but I would say definitely weed started it out, and I mean too, the broken home, and three, it's scary, but the accessibility of it, man. I mean, it's like growing up in San Diego, man. I mean, San Diego is like one of the biggest meth capitals, and it's just that growing up in the streets, you know, everyone is connected to drugs. Take for example like myself. I'm connected to drugs due due to neighborhood that I grew up in. Friends friends dealt, used, family members dealt, used. I mean, it's everywhere, man. I mean, it's like, and 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 if you grow up within a rough neighborhood, I mean, drugs and crime, go go hand in hand, and they're not too far behind. You know.
I think I've told this story before on this podcast, but it's worth repeating because I was at a Christmas party one time and I was talking to a distant family member who I think was one of those guys who really got into wine to justify his raging alcoholism.
Right.
And he was talking about how he thought that people who dealt drugs should be subject to the death penalty
Wow.
because
It's
it
crazy.
that's what he said. Because he thought that it destroyed lives and destroyed the inner city. And I said, but dude, alcohol destroys lives, and I don't have to go all the way to the inner city to um, show you how it's damaged or destroyed lives. I might not even have to go outside this room. And then I looked at him real hard. So,
Wow. How? Right.
but it what's
Spotlight.
what I believe about our appetites is that it's like if I feel bad, I want to eat more. If I feel
Right.
great, I want to celebrate and eat more.
Right.
So I have to. I have this within me that I have to control my appetites, but I think that's within everybody. And I don't know if marijuana is the gateway drug. I suspect that breast milk might be the gateway drug.
Oh, come on, stop it, Robert. Really, really, dude, really,
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Be,
mother's milk.
yeah,
Yeah, mother's milk is the first drug. Really.
yeah, because we're human. Because we're human. Because the thing
Yeah.
is, there are cannabinoid receptors in our cells, and food feeds those same cannabinoid receptors. That's why we have cannabinoid receptors. That's why cannabis works. Is it
Right.
activates the same stuff in your limbic system that eating something with a lot of salt and sugar and fat. It activates that same thing. That's why McDonald's is a drug that people can't kick. Well,
Wow.
people can kick. It's hard to
Yeah,
kick.
and bro, like, there's a joke within the states that that people sometimes say, you know what, they must put crack in those fries because, like, dude, like those fries, honestly, McDonald's fries are just unreal. I mean, one of my fantasies, is just to have a big bowl of just McDonald's fries, and I'm just eating them, and I'm just like watching movies. I mean,
But
it's
that's the thing. If you look at nicotine, like cigarettes, there's what is it, 500 chemicals in there that are
yes,
primed to flare up your brain and get you addicted. There's food scientists who are taking corn and turning it into corn syrup and then adding stuff that isn't food that makes you more addicted because you want more. It's the thing about you can try to fill yourself up with carbohydrates from McDonald's, and it makes you want to eat more. It
yes,
doesn't
it does.
it doesn't make you feel satisfied.
It does not fill you up.
So that's why I say that breast milk is the gateway drug, because it's part of our human chemistry to be vulnerable to these addictions where something feels good, you want more. The main
Wow,
thrust of our existence is avoid pain, seek pleasure. And
pleasure.
if
Yes.
you hit something that punches you in the brain and makes you feel good, you want more of it, no matter what it is.
Wow, that's a really good point, man. I mean, it's funny how you brought up the eating for pleasure, and also eating for disappointment. Recently, within the past couple years, I kind of discovered that about myself, that I'm a closet emotional eater. When I have some really bad news, one of the first things that I think about is rushing to get some sugary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that, now that I've realized that, I put that in check. But I you know I think that's just sort of natural, for humans, man, to not want to feel bad.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know, I mean,
we self medicate however we do. Dennis Miller, back when he was funny,
but exactly, yeah.
he's not,
Thanks, thanks.
he's not funny anymore. But Dennis Miller
Not
years ago, he
not at all. It's not at all. He's so wild. Man, like post 9/11, Dennis Miller jumped into the conservative bandwagon. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I actually miss Dennis Miller. He used to be so effing funny.
He
What
was.
happened to Dennis Miller? You used to be the man.
Well,
You know.
I think the fear of Al Qaeda just stripped the funny right out of him. But he became the shill for Bill O'Reilly, and it just became sad. But before he was sad, back when he was funny, he had this joke about how prohibition wouldn't work because if you denied humans drugs, they would just go down the front lawn and spin around until they got high.
That's true, man. I mean, you know, do like everyone wants to get. I mean, you know, it's kind of like the saying, like, you know, everyone has their price. You know, it may not be money, but you know, everyone has a price, and I mean, everyone wants to get high off something. You know,
Mm.
it's just that unfortunately, some people choose to go within an illicit route. You know, and that's why we have so
So
many acts.
maybe the answer, in rehab, people will turn to God. I think if you turn those same energies in toward success
Right.
or toward love, if you can get high on love, you can get high on success, you can get a high on making money, if you can get high on providing for your children, if you can get high off being nice to people, being kind to people, um, it there's a
That'll be
lot of negative energy around drug taking, whatever the drug is, whether your drug is food or marijuana or crack cocaine,
right.
whatever it is. If we can rechannel those energies and put our attention elsewhere, so if you like, I'm a food addict, so what I do is I focus on the stuff that I can eat instead of the stuff I can't eat.
Right.
So
That's a good point.
I'm knocking back kale shakes and
Yum,
um,
yum, yum,
said no one ever.
yum.
But if I can get high off doing exercise instead of getting high off a chocolate bar, then I'm
Yeah.
doing myself some favors. And these are not easy things to deal with for whatever your addiction is.
Right.
And you know what we got to do? You and I, we
What?
got to talk again because I know you're out of time. You got to
No,
go.
no,
You
no,
got to bounce.
no, no. I can stick around for maybe about another like 10 minutes. Exactly.
Okay. Well, let's get a bit more back to the book. How are
Sure.
people? Because that goes right off what I just said. Is how, the people that you talk to? How did the people who kicked their habit? How did they do it? What did they do?
You know what? A commonality to that was that people, everyone needed some kind of program. You know, whether it be NA, drug court, some some type of mandated, you know, thing. But um, and it's unfortunate, Charles. But no one did it by themselves. And I think that that's sort of it's that's stripping away all of the hubris and just being real and just saying you know what, this thing it's bigger than me. This thing at this moment is tougher than me, and I need help. And I mean, it's, you know, I I think that people, especially within America, we are sort of conditioned to not feel pain. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. We are conditioned to to not show that we are in pain. We are we are conditioned to be tough. And one of the great things about the NAAA program is that it just says, you know what, just surrender. And everyone that I spoke with who had a drug problem, who was struggling with a drug problem, they needed some type of program to help them. And it's nothing wrong with that, because I mean, at the end of the day, everyone needs help. You know,
So
like there's this great Maya Angelou poem where it goes something to the effect of, no one makes it out here alone. And that is 100% true. Like, you know, one thing that my father always told me was that no one gets there by themselves. And so, the people who are still struggling their drug with their drug problem, they now have a good foundation.
So anybody who's struggling with these issues, who's listening to the Cool People podcast at this moment right now, needs to pick up a phone, find a phone,
Yeah,
get
man.
hold of a CB radio, whatever you need to do, and call somebody and
Yeah,
say, my life could be better. Just
yeah,
make a
man.
call.
Yeah, man. I mean, it it doesn't make you weak, man. I mean, like, that's one of the things that I took away from that. What was it? There's a certain amount of humility that you have to grab, and you have to realize that, what, I can't do this by myself, and you know what, that's okay, man. I mean, because I mean, you know what, like, hell, like Bill Gates, you know, Malcolm X, freaking a Mother Teresa, any of any of those folks didn't get to where they are by themselves, man. I mean, it's like, they had a hand up.
Yeah, and as everybody knows, Mother Teresa was a raging meth addict before she.
Oh, easy. Uh, all right, you guys, I I just want to say that I'm a Catholic, so man, terrible, this guy right here. See that?
But you know what? I think Mother Teresa had an addiction as well. Like, this is the thing: anybody who's successful, they are pouring their heart into whatever they do.
Right.
It's like um, pouring your heart into your art, and
Yeah.
and for a lot of people, art is their way out of other problems.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of a joke. It's kind of not.
This is this is true, man. Like, art can be cathartic. Art can be helpful, but just, you know, again, everyone that I that I spoke with, at some point they realized that this is that this is too much for me, and that I need to be in some kind of in some kind of program. And I mean, God bless that those programs do exist, because I mean, if they didn't, can you imagine all the addicts like running around? I mean, it'd be calamity, you know?
Yeah, and the thing is, and my larger point about art, because it's not kind of a hippie point. It's more like what I'm saying is that
Totally not.
you have to put your attention elsewhere to something positive.
Right.
So you have something that replaces what you did before, and that also means getting rid of the friends that you had and
Right.
finding new friends, because if you're a meth addict, you cannot hang around with meth addicts,
Yeah.
and so this can that can pose a lot of problems and challenges,
Right.
especially if you're poor and you can't move.
Yeah. 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 It's that's that's kind of like being released from 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 prison, and some of the conditions of your parole says that, you cannot hang around felons. Well, I mean, well, hell, like,
That means you can't go home.
yeah, exactly right. Hell, like, half my neighborhood is felons. So it's, it's, I mean, no one ever has it easy, man. So, but I mean, one for example, the guy Charles that I interviewed, he said that, if you work the program, it'll work.
Mm.
And I mean, Charles has been clean for maybe 5 years, and I mean, and he's still working the program, and I mean, he's taking it day by day. I think that at the end of the day, it all depends on how bad you want it.
Cool.
You know.
Well, before we go, the book is
Sure.
Straight Dope, a
Yes.
360-degree look into American drug culture. Where can
Ah.
people get it? Hey, there
Wait.
it is.
Yeah.
Your video kind of sucks right now, I'm afraid.
Nice. Great. Thanks. No, thanks.
But
How? No. You know what?
there will be links to it in the show notes. You
Yeah.
you send me the link and I'll put it in the show notes, no
I
problem.
would def-
But
I'll definitely definitely do that. Please, everyone, go to Amazon.com. Pick it up. Digital copy is only $2.99. You can't even buy Starbucks for freaking $2.99.
That's
Really?
right. If you're
Pick it
low,
up.
if you don't have $2.99, you just need to look in the couch and you will find that
Yeah,
change.
exactly. Poor motherfucker.
Hey, LeRon, thank you
Yes.
so much for talking to me tonight. I want to have you back on because there's more
Oh,
we can
yes.
talk about. I want to talk to you about your other writing too. So
Yes.
let's talk again. And thanks again for being on the Cool People podcast. You know what this means, don't you?
What is that, Charles?
It is this.
What?
You've been on the Cool People podcast. That makes you
A cool
cool.
person. That has been one of my lifelong ambitions is to be cool, plus to be able to swim, which is something that I'm going to learn this year.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to totally not live up to the black people stereotype. I am going to learn how to swim. Damn it.
Well, if LeRon Barton does not return to the Cool People podcast, we will have known what happened. Anyway, good luck, man.
Thanks, man. We will definitely touch base soon, man.
Cool.
Thanks.